Do you struggle with manifesting? Well, my name's Carolyn, and this is Words of Wisdom. And we're going to talk about aligning your energy and how your emotions are magnets to help you manifest your desires. And it's interesting because what I'm finding is that when something occurs out there, it's mirroring what's going on in here, because everything in our world is us pushed out. I scheduled this live stream. I've hired an assistant, so we've been planning things in advance now. Yay! I'm not doing things I have to do this next week. What topic am I going to do? We're starting to plan our topics and our videos and our posts and our emails. Like, we're starting to get ahead of the game. So I'm so excited. And this topic was reflected in emails I was getting and also social posts. So I would put out videos and people are leaving comments, and the comments that I was receiving in the last couple of days exactly reflect this topic. You can't make this stuff up, as they say. The comments that I've been getting is people are concerned that they don't know how to manifest. They write me and they say things like, my life is terrible. I want to win the lottery. Everybody wants to win the lottery. They think all that money, that instant money, is going to solve all their problems. It will make them happy to a point, but it doesn't solve all your problems. And they don't know how to get out of it. They'll read Helene's book, The Name It, Claim It game, and they're like, it's not working. It doesn't work. I've been doing it. It's not working. I don't think this is going to work. I'm frustrated. My life is terrible. Yeah. And they get, I start going back and forth, and they sometimes are upset because I'm not telling them what they want to hear, because I say, I can't solve your problems. You have to solve it. And they're like, what are you talking about? I have to solve it. I can't solve it. I don't know. This is why I'm in this pickle. And you go into this dance. So let's start with, everyone is always manifesting, whether you like it or not. So Henry Ford had this great expression, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Right? So whatever you think, and more importantly, feel, is what is going to manifest. So one woman in particular was saying, I have so much doubt that this isn't going to work. So the universe will show you that it's not working. Goes, oh, you don't want it to work? Okay, we can do that. And so I was giving her some structure on how to move the needle a little bit. Now, before I get into all the steps, I'm also the contest queen. And so I decided to not only be giving away prizes on my other channel, I started giving away prizes on this channel too. And so every video that I do, the manifesting live streams, I have a different vintage book to give away. Now, if you're watching this long after the giveaway period is over, go to my latest one, because you could probably win something there. And if you want to learn how to win those sweepstakes, head over to contestqueen.com. But I have a really unique book that I'm giving away. This is a doozy. It's called The Disappearance of the Universe. It's from 2003. And I was gifted an autograph copy from a colleague as a gift. And it is fantastic. So if you haven't read this book, this is the giveaway that you need to be entering. Okay, because this is fantastic. I'm going to give you a little excerpt from the back here. The disappearance of the universe. What would you do if you were sitting quietly in your living room when a mysterious couple appeared from out of nowhere and then told you they were ascended masters who had come to reveal some shocking secrets of existence and teach you the miraculous power of advanced forgiveness? Would you call the cops? Would you call a psychiatrist? Call for pizza? When two such teachers appeared before Gary Renard in 1992, he chose to listen to them and ask a lot of impertinent questions. The result is this startling book, an extraordinary record of 17 mind-bending conversations that took place over nearly a decade, reorientating the author's life and giving the world an uncompromising introduction into spiritual teachings destined to change human history. So there you go. This is a prize you want to win. So that will be drawn in a week. Okay, now back to the topic. I just can't help myself. I love giving away prizes and finding things to give away that are going to help change people's lives. Emotions are magnets. So one of the things in SPEC, Helene teaches SPEC, right? Select it, project it, expect it, collect it. And where people are getting stuck is expected. Some people get stuck on P. So I want to go over it and explain how you can really master E. Okay, so select it. SPEC is selected. You have to be very specific. This is why it is the first step. Because if you are not specific, how are you going to know what to manifest? For example, one of my favorite examples I heard in a Jack Canfield talk, and he was teaching a class, and one guy had said, "I want more money." Jack reached into his pocket, tossed him a quarter. The guy goes, "What's this?" He goes, "More money." It was more money. He goes, "I want more than that." Jack says, "How much? How much by when?" Be specific, and then wait for inspiration, and then take action on that inspiration. Because Helene didn't win all those prizes by just thinking, "Oh, I want a new microwave," and then just sitting in her living room meditating and projecting the idea of a new microwave in her house. She took action and entered all the giveaways, and the microwave showed up. Right? It's I equate sweepstakes to going to the gym. If you want to win prizes, you have to it's consistency over time equals results. So if you want to eat healthier and see changes in your body, consistency over time equals results. You want to win sweepstakes, consistency over time equals results. You want to be buff and fit from the gym, consistency over time equals results. Are you seeing a pattern? So to get to your goals, you have to be consistent over time to see the results. And if you don't like where you are right now, instead of saying affirmations like, "I am rich," trying to trick yourself into getting to where you want to be, your subconscious goes, "Nah, you're not." And then that doubt creeps in. And then you're messaging me saying, "Help, I don't know what to do." What you need to do is you need to shift the needle. You need to start to shift the needle. So say something that is believable. So for example, if you want to make, I don't know, $100,000 in your business this month, maybe start smaller, start at 10. And instead of saying, "I am making $10,000 in my business this month," you can say something like, "I wonder what opportunities I can take that will get me to $10,000 this month. So now you're looking, you're turning on that reticular activator, and you'll see things that'll show up. Like maybe you'll get a LinkedIn request for somebody that can connect with you for your business. Maybe you'll get an email. Maybe you'll see an advertisement. Maybe you'll catch a podcast, while you're taking your morning walk. The possibilities of opportunity are endless. And if you just say, hey, I'm open to the opportunities for abundance, show them to me, and I will take inspired action when they come up. That's what you got to do. Robert Ohotto always had a great quote that I love. And he always said, first hit, best hit. And sometimes you're doing something and you'll get an idea and then you'll fluff it off. And then you'll think later, something else will happen. You go, oh, yeah, that intuition I had was right. That intuition I had was right. And it is quiet and it is quick. Doubt is loud and naggy. That's your ego talking. But your intuition is like lightning. And you can feel it in your body. So that's what you want to open yourself up to. You want to just basically say to your self-conscious, your higher self, this is why meditation is also key. We're going to get to that. That you're open to all the possibilities of abundance. Bashar is channeled by Daryl Anka, and he says abundance isn't just money. It's ideas, it's opportunities, it's inspiration, and there's one more. Why am I blanking on it? I think it's creativity. I have it on my vision board and I see it every day. I think I'd remember all 5 off the top of my head. But abundance is more, synchronicities. Did I say synchronicities? So you be very specific when you're setting out what you want, and different ways that you can do that. Journaling is very effective for some people. Voice notes is good for some people. The more detail you can put in is good. Some people vision board it. I consider vision boards, and journaling is, they select it and project it. They kind of meld into one another. It's kind of like your chakras. There's no like slicing lines. It's all, it's all connected. One fades into the next one. Project it is what you're doing with your head. You're putting it out to the universe. Now, some people have written me and said they have aphasia or different levels of aphasia. There's, I think, 5 or 6 levels of aphasia. Some are like, I see nothing, and some are, it's not very clear. Some it's flat. The visualization itself, what you can see in your mind's eye, because some people can't do that, isn't as important as projecting the ideas. So you can, again, journal those ideas. You can speak them out loud. You can do the voice notes. You can do vision boards. You can make digital vision boards. You can make carousels on your phone. Anything to, put that idea out there and reinforce it in yourself, because then that leads into E. And this is where you want to slowly eliminate doubt. Now, Michael Loge, who wrote The Law of Attraction, the best-selling book, I know it's past its 20th anniversary. Is it coming up on 25? I've lost track. This book is fantastic, and it's so simple. It is the absolute quintessential how-to book on the law of attraction, because he walks you through different exercises. One of them is the T method, where you take a piece of paper and write what you don't want. And then on the other side saying, well, what do I want? Because you always want to do stuff in the positive. And my favorite example, he gave this great example about going into a travel agency. So imagine you walk into a travel agency and sit down in front of the travel agent, and you say, I want to book a vacation. And they go, okay, where? And you go, I don't know. And they're like, I can't really help you. And you're like, come on, you can book me a vacation. So then they start asking you questions. Do you want somewhere hot or somewhere cold? Like, are we going to the beach or are you going skiing? Oh, no, I don't like the cold. I prefer it warm. Okay, now they're narrowing it down. Right? Do you like the Caribbean or the Mediterranean? Or do you want to do the South Pacific? Like, where are we going warm? Oh, I don't like long flights. Okay, that cuts out the Mediterranean and the South Pacific from here. So let's look at the Caribbean. And then, you can narrow it down. So it's the same with your goals. If there's part of it, you can keep refining it, because you've probably had goals manifest. And you're like, it's not exactly what I wanted, because you were off on a few things. It's like working with AI, actually. If you're doing an input, a prompt, and you're not extremely specific, it will give you something. You're like, oh, yeah, no, you need to rewrite it to do this. Oh, yeah, that's not the right thing. You need to add this. Okay, and you keep getting closer. It's the same with your goals. So projecting it is putting it out there. Now, this is where the Silva method comes in, because a lot of the meditations that Jose taught, you are doing visualizations and you're looking out. I've done this before in these videos. You're looking out where your third eye is, right here, and you're looking at about a 20-degree angle, which I'm hoping is appearing on the screen. I can't, my angle of 20, but it's roughly on a 20-degree angle. And then you can hold it, in front of you, and you have a screen. I'm not going to do the Silva method here. You can look on YouTube. There's plenty actually even done by Jose himself. They've got archived the Silva method. Actually, Silva International has archived footage of Jose teaching some of the things online. Ken Kasha, I'll put the links in the description after, because I didn't realize I'd be mentioning Ken. Ken Kasha is the longest teaching Silva instructor. This is year 54, I think, for him. He started when he was 19, certified by Jose himself. And he's now the principal. He's still the principal trainer. So when he does Silva method training for instructors, you learn from Ken. And he's the closest you're going to get to Jose himself now. The other one that's very good is Stephen Dobosh. He's got a YouTube channel, and he goes through different exercises. And then Mind Valley, Vishen Lakiani, is also a Silva instructor. I must do a video one day on all the big, great teachers that have taken the Silva method. And he also has some videos on YouTube with the different meditations. And they're great to get you into that state, because where you create is in alpha. You create in the alpha state, and then you take that inspired action in the beta state. So when you're meditating and you go down into alpha, that's where you play, that's where you create, where you design what you want your life to look like. And then when you come out into beta, then you take inspired action, right? You just know where to take that. Now, the one piece I haven't talked about yet is the E, because Helene called it expect it, but she could have called it energize. She could have called it emotion. She could have called it experience, because each one of those is also needed to manifest. So, for example, I started a publishing company 2 years ago when I bought the right to tag Powell's books, because I started to realize I kind of knew it was coming, because I had Helene's books and I had thrown some of them on my marketing site where they didn't belong. So I knew I was going to need an author's website. I didn't know I'd turned it into a publishing company. And then when I bought Tag Powell's work, I thought, okay, I can't put this off any longer. And I started a publishing company where all those are. Now, the person that started that publishing company and had the confidence to just outright ask Tag before he passed, to buy the rights to his books, even a year before, I wouldn't have had the courage just to say, hey, who's maintaining your legacy? Because it was obvious he was extremely ill. And I just asked him outright. A year before, I never would have. I needed the experience of being an author, buying rights, dealing with lawyers, knowing that I'm going to have to expand, publishing more books, starting to do audibles. All these steps, the experience got me to where I was confident and to start to reach my goals of growing as an author. But the person, again, that asked Tag to buy the rights to his book wasn't the person, a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years prior, right? It even took me a decade before I finally got off my butt and started republishing Helene's books. I had to become a different person to take that. So that's the E in experience. And there's a lot of feeling in that. There's ups, there's downs. She wrote Confessions of an 83-Year-Old Sage. What is the subtitle of that book? The Glad, Sad, and Mad of Life. Because even Helene had her ups and downs, and she writes about her adventures in her books. And it's not all rosy, and it's not all manifesting, prizes. There's some terrible things that happened in her life. She nearly died a couple of times, right? She had a cancer scare. She had surgeries. Her 2 children predeceased her. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Just like all of us, we've all had these. That's why we're here on Earth School, to experience. And so somebody says, well, I'm really sad right now. I can't yeah, you can. You can even manifest when you're pissy, I say. I had to deal with lawyers earlier this year and send out a cease and desist. Oh, my Audible producer would be just cringing because he's always like, enunciate. It's contests. 12th. Sometimes I would do like 15 takes before I'd get it right. Anyway, oh no, did I just lose my train of thought? Helene, experienced you can manifest when you're pissy. So I had to send out a cease and desist. And I was angry. But I saw the resolution. I knew it would end up the way it did. I had all confidence that it would, but I was still pissy. And I took inspired action through lawyers to get it resolved. And when I was younger, I'd be like stamping out emails. I would be, doing all these things. Now I'm like, okay, I'm not happy about this. Let me sit with it. And I'm going to message my lawyer. What are our next steps? And I just dealt with it that way. And that's a huge change from what I would have done in the past. So sometimes you need those experiences to manifest different. Now, the emotion part is, I can't remember who said it, but emotion is, I'm thinking maybe it's Bob Proctor, actually. It's emotion, energy in motion, right? So if that's why they're always saying, be grateful and appreciative and see your desires, no doubt, and don't dismiss where they're coming from. How many times have you had a desire and then it shows up in the weirdest way? And you're like, I never would have imagined that in a million years. Never would I have imagined that in a million years. And sure enough, it happens. I love this. I've seen these TikToks of people that play with this kind of thing when they get into the alpha state. Because the best time to do it is when you're in the hypnagogic state, which is right when you're falling asleep and right when you're waking up. The veil between your conscious and subconscious is very thin, and you can kind of get messages through easier. And this one fella was really tired from work or whatever he was doing. And he's like, I'm going to have a nap, but I really want a Subway sandwich. And so he just laid down and he just envisioned when he woke up, he was going to have a nice Subway sandwich and a soda when he woke up. And he had no intention of going to Subway himself. He just wanted to wake up and have a sandwich. So he's dozing and he wakes up. Meanwhile, his buddy dropped by and left him a Subway sandwich and a drink. And he messaged him. He's like, thanks, man. He goes, yeah, I just had a feeling you wanted it. So put it out to the universe. And the thought was delivered to whoever was in charge of it. There's a whole section in the Silva method on mental texting. And I've done some really fun videos on mental texting and how that's worked out for me. But the most famous examples, now I've heard this story two ways, so now I don't know which one's right. I've always heard it that Prince had this idea for a melody. He woke up, he had this idea for melody, woke up everybody, all his band members and his producer, and like, you got to come over here. We got to record it right now. Because this idea came to him and they're like, it's the middle of the night. And he goes, yeah, but if we don't record it now, Michael Jackson's going to record it. Because he knew that thoughts float. How many times have we heard of people inventing something and then someone else on the other side of the world, almost the exact same time, files a patent? Like they're almost simultaneous. Alexander Graham Bell did this. Marconi did it. There's all kinds of people that had inventions, but it was whoever got the patent in first. And they were extremely close, like a day apart or hours apart, things like that. So these ideas are out in the collective and it's whoever gets them. And some people say thoughts are alive because everything is energy, including our thoughts. Yeah, Vaughn said, good for you. You've worked too hard for someone to just use AI and take credit. Yep. Yep. And that's the other thing. It's that what really concerns me is it's not just me. It's every author. You have to be really cognizant of the teachers you're learning from. That's why I'm really happy that I'm able to give out vintage books as prizes, because these were AI, and the teachings are authentic in here from the actual author. So you need to be very cognizant of where you're getting your material from, and who's teaching it and whose sources are they citing. You'll notice that as I teach, I say, this is my favorite quote from this teacher, or I love this example from this person. And then sometimes I get embarrassed because I have been reading metaphysical, spiritual, inspirational type books since I was 18 and I'm 58. So once in a while, I might crisscross two stories. I might not remember who said what. But I do my best to always give credit where credit is due. Just like on contestqueen.com, I call myself a hub of all things contesting. And then I give you the resources, and then you go out and you have your own hobby and you enter to win. It's exactly the same format here at Words for Winning. I'm the hub of all these manifesting teachers. I pick and choose and bring together what I think will help you from all these resources to compile it. And then I give you the tools, and you have to go away and work with them. Like, I can't manifest for you. I can send you grace. I can send you wishes. I can pray for you, but as Jim Rohn says, no one can do your push-ups for you. Like, I can't do the push-ups. Right? And it's actually, I had a thought today. It's like going to the doctor. The doctor can give you the medicine, but he's not the one healing you. Your body is healing itself with the tool that has been given. So, for example, if you needed antibiotics, right, for strep throat, I think they give antibiotics for strep throat. He gives you the antibiotics. It's like giving, the weapon to the good blood cells to help them fight the bad blood cells so you heal. But who's doing the healing? You, right? So that's what you do when you read books, when you take, you watch videos, you take courses, you listen to podcasts, you're learning, and then you use those tools. You put them in your tool belt and you use them to manifest the life you want. That's why we need this mass mosaic of teachers, because some people won't resonate with Helene. Some people don't resonate with tag. Some people love tag. Some people, that's like, for example, when I found Robert Ohotto in 2011, someone said, I think you'll like him. Oh boy, I just resonated with his work. He became my favorite teacher for growth. I did more spiritual growth from his stuff, I think, in a long time. And he really gave me some foundations to get through the toughest period of my life. Do you know if the Silva method has a method for astral projection practices or some? So I don't know if this was Silva himself. There's a course. There's a couple of additional courses aside from the Silva method. One is called Silva Manifesting, which I talk with Janine, and I can't remember her last name at the moment. She's South African, but she lives in Australia. And she tours and teaches this course. And I took it last year, and it was phenomenal. And then later last year, I took Silva Mastery with Ken Kasha. And the last exercise is called the Center of the Universe. The meditation was really deep. And basically the idea is, if you've exhausted all resources and trying to resolve issues or a problem in your life, then you just go to the center of the universe to do it. Are we astral projecting? Maybe. I don't know. Now, Helene did learn to astral project. There is an audio interview I did with her, and it was the first time I'd heard of it, because it was like 20 years ago. And she talked about astral projection, where she was in two places. I think that's different from remote viewing, which I know she also did, because I think in remote viewing, you just see where you're looking, like binoculars or on a movie screen, whereas astral projection, you're actually in two places at once, effectively. So she talked about that, astral projection, in one of the audios. Now, I don't know where she learned it exactly. I found a lot of books in her library. Maybe she read it. Maybe she took a course. She did a lot of stuff. She used to travel. You got to remember, she also used to travel on the circuit, the lecture circuit. Nowadays, all those people have podcasts and TED Talks, and YouTube channels. But back in the day, you had to go around and physically give talks. So she met a lot of people like Paul Twitchell and the likes of that. Actually, that's where she met Joseph Murphy and Norman Vincent Peale. She hung around with some cool people. So I don't know where she learned it exactly, but Okay. So this is back to that story we talked about Michael Jackson, the line in the MJ musical where he says something working on a song before Prince gets the same idea. Like I said, I've heard the story both ways. So I'm going to assume I did not know that fact. I'm going to assume it was Michael Jackson who didn't want Prince to have the idea. That's really cool. Thanks for that information. But either way, the point is thoughts float. And that's where, when you are in a mindset that, there was a trend last year on TikTok, loved it, called Lucky Girl Syndrome. This is for guys and girls, but the premise is you're saying, I'm so lucky. Everything's always working out for me. Everything's happening when it's supposed to and for the highest good of all. And you kind of just say that all the time. So even when things go wrong, like you miss the bus or you burn your toast, the burnt toast theory. We'll talk about that in a second. Something happens, you're like, everything's always working out for me. So the burnt toast theory is when something happens, like you burn your toast, you spill your coffee, you forget your keys, you break your heel in a shoe, you realize you're low on gas, you got to stop and fill up, your bank card gets stuck in the machine. Something happens to align you to be in where you need to be. So even when you think, oh my gosh, this is terrible, I just spilled coffee all over my new shirt, I'm going to be delayed by 10 minutes. That delay shifts you. So for example, first of all, watch The Adjustment Bureau. There's a brilliant example of this in that movie. Love that movie. Highly recommend it. Robert Ohotto always told this story of he was going somewhere once and he needed to take the airport shuttle, but it was where he lived, it was a bus that went around and you could get it and it would take you to the airport. And he realized he didn't have any cash on him and they didn't take cards. So he ran quickly to the bank machine to get some cash and his card got stuck for 10 minutes and he missed the bus. And he finally got his card back and he got his money. And then so he went to wait for the next bus and he met his next partner there. And they were together for, I don't know, like 5 years or something, 3 years, 5 years. And because he happened to be at the bus. Lucky girl syndrome, right? Lucky girl or burnt toast theory. I saw a TikTok of a mom and her son, they were having to get ready to go to school. And he's like, I really want one more pancake. I really want one more pancake. And he kept insisting. And she's like, we got to go. We're going to be late. He kept insisting. We have to have one more pancake, one more. So she's like, all right, fine. He had one more pancake. And then they got going. And there was a huge, they were in the car. And there was a huge traffic accident up ahead. And she said, oh my gosh, look at that. No, look at the huge, there was a big accident. And he's from the back seat. He said, yeah, I know. That's why I had to have another pancake so we wouldn't be there. He knew, and he made his mom stay. So she was like, yeah, you got to listen to the kids. Yes, The Adjustment Bureau is Matt Damon and Emily Blunt. It is a great movie. One of the things I found fascinating, because Robert Ohotto recommended this, he said what blew his mind is because he's an intuitive astrologer. And he said what blew his mind was when The Notebook, there's a scene where the, what are those guys called? I forgot. I haven't seen, now I'm going to watch the movie again. He drops the book and it opens up and you see like all these paths and then, people are together, they can go apart. It looks like circuitry board, but it's all moving and it's alive and it's shifting. And he said, that's how I see people's lives when I see the patterns in their life. And the people that are the most asleep, he said, are the most predictable, or you can more likely predict their path because they're not shifting. But the people who are doing things like the meditating and the shifting and the designing of their life, he said they have the X factor. And so you can say, yeah, I want to go here, but something could take you and put you in even a better spot. Oh, Hereafter. Okay, now I'm going to have to watch that. I did like Infinite, or was it called Infinity, with Mark Wahlberg. Another really good movie. What I find interesting is Helene Hadsel said in one of her books that watch what you're seeing on television and in the movies because it's a reflection. So, like Men in Black, are they preparing us to live like that? That kind of thing. The Adjustment Bureau, is that actually real? It's really fascinating because she says, watch what you're watching. One movie I love is Arrival. And it talks about how, we all have to work together. And the reason that, spoiler alert, the aliens came is to force the earth to work together because they were advanced beings from us. And if we didn't get our act together, they wouldn't exist. So they came back to work together, people. You're one. It's one world. Fantastic movie. And now I have to get Hereafter and watch it. So you want to put emotion into it. And sometimes you can, like I said, you can be pissy. Like I will notice sometimes. I remember being on vacation one time and I woke up and for some reason I felt like I'd gotten off on the wrong side of the bed and I was in the shower and I was like, this is not good energy. This is not where I want to be. I'm feeling super pissy right now. Like I'm talking aloud in the shower because I figure my guides can hear me, but I also know the spoken word has a lot of power. That's why abracadabra, Lady Gaga came out with abracadabra. Abracadabra means I create what I speak. So I'm talking aloud in the shower. I remember Jack Canfield did a speech once and he said, everybody talks to themselves. And he goes, I know some of you are sitting there going, do I talk to myself? I don't think I talk to myself. Really? Who talks to themselves? That doesn't make any sense. Why would you talk to yourself? I talk to myself all the time. Even when I'm out, I do code hunting and different things when I contest. So if I'm out walking, I'll talk to myself. I'll have my earbuds in. So maybe it looks like I'm talking on the phone, which is a little better before because then I wouldn't listen to anything. And I walk around and I mutter, like, what is happening? Da, 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 da. I'm always talking aloud. So I was in the shower and I was so frustrated. I'm like, I don't like this energy. I want to shift it. And I just probably stayed in the shower longer than I needed to just to kind of like let all the water wash that away. And I was just talking it aloud because I could feel it. I'm like, I don't like to be here. I want to be calm. I want to be in alignment. I want to do this. And I was talking it aloud so it can just leave, like just literally leave that energy, just leave my body. And you can shift that way. But again, you're not supposed to vibe high all the time, positive vibes, you got to think vibe, or you got to be great. If you don't vibe high all the time, you're not going to manifest. No, that's not being human. That's not realistic. Sometimes you just have a pissy day. There was a day last week where everything I touched kind of went wrong. Like things were spilt, things snapped, this broke, this did this. It got to the point where I'm like, you know what? It's 9:00. I'm not touching anything else. I'm literally like, I wanted to, these glasses are modular and I can change colors and I pop the lenses in and out. I thought if I change the lenses, I'm going to break a frame. Now they have a 10-year guarantee, so I'll just take them back and think, but I don't want the inconvenience. It got to the point where I'm like, I'm not touching anything. The dishes can stink because I'm not breaking a glass. This can sit, that can sit, everything just sat. I said, you know what? I'm just going to bed. I'm going to shift my energy. And when I wake up, it'll be a new day and I can get going and I can just pick up. And that's what I did. I just went to bed because I thought, no, this energy needs to shift. And, I decided that as I was falling asleep, let's go somewhere and do something productive. It says the triple Capricorn. Right? And I don't know why I was so off that day. I'm usually not like that. But I'm also, again, human. And I'm here to experience all the things. But as I age and matured, my reactions are far different than they were when I was younger. Before, even probably 10 years before, I would have kept pushing to get more done, I have this to do, I have that to do. We can't leave the dishes in the sink overnight, blah, blah, blah. I would have pushed. No, I want this now. And then things would have gotten probably worse. Now I recognize it and I go, you know what? It's not the end of the world. It stays there till tomorrow. I'm going to bed. I'm going to open my Kindle, read a book. That's a better way to finish the day. Not on social media, not watching television. And I really like the Kindle as opposed to a book because I have the night filter on. I put the dark screen with the white lettering and I don't need any lights because it has kind of a little glow, but it's not so bright and I can just read in the dark and then go to sleep because it's nice and dark. So it's already, calming me down and winding me up and I'm all cozy and the Kindles are light. It's not like reading this in bed. I remember falling asleep, you're reading something and you wake up because the book hit your face. Oh, I think it's time to put it down. Then you don't know where you left off because you lost the bookmark. So that's the nice thing about the Kindles, right? The electronic books, they remember where you were. So I want you to remember that, yes, you need emotion to manifest and be grateful and look at those goals, but you can still manifest it even when you have an off day. You have to think of this as the long game. This isn't something you're going to manifest. Now, I've got videos where I've showed how I manifested instantly. Like I would think of something and it would literally happen. Then I've had ideas and the next day it happened. Or something else would occur and a week later it manifested. So some stuff can come quick. Some stuff has taken a heck of a long time. George, my relationship with George, for example, that took a decade. A decade of that. That's the E for experience. I knew there was another great love of my life. I didn't know when. I didn't know who. I just knew he would show up for me. I just knew that. And in the meantime, I just lived my life, all the ups and the downs, like I'm going through my divorce, staying single for a long time because it was just better because I'm a hot mess. I wouldn't want to date me right now. So we're just going to hang out and be single and do our own little thing. And then when the time's right, then we'll date. Then I dated some people that were like, these are nice people. They're just not for me. And then I met George and the rest is history. And what did I say earlier? First hit, best hit. My first hit with George, I had met him. We had coffee. The next day we were texting. Like I met him on Plenty of Fish. Now this is interesting, actually. So I waited till after Mercury retrograde was over because I love my astrology. And I put up my profile at near the end of September on a Wednesday. And by Friday, I saw his profile on Plenty of Fish and I messaged him and we chatted a little bit back and forth. And like I said, I was already in my 50s at that point. I'm not wasting time. Let's meet for coffee, see what the energy is like. Because when you meet somebody in person, you can instantly read their energy. Like there was a couple of nice gentlemen that I met, and I knew instantly with my personality, shocker, big personality, I would steamroll them. Like I needed somebody that had a strong energy that could match mine. Shocker, George does that. Right? Sometimes I start to do this and he grounds me. And then he's sometimes, we tease him and call him Grumpy George. He's, you know, and Lane and I actually, both of us, we bring a lot of fun into that man's life. So we bring him up and he grounds us, right? It's a good balance. Anyway, I met him for coffee, really liked him. And the next night I was out and I went to roll. It was warm. So I had my windows open in my car just a little bit. And I went to roll it back up and I heard like a glass crunching. And I'm like, what the heck was that? And then all of a sudden my window, the driver's side window, just straight into the door, glass everywhere. I was like, oh my gosh. So he'd been texting me and I texted him back. I go, you're not going to believe what just happened. My window broke. And then he texted me back and said, do you want me to come and get you? And the instant hit that I had was, this man has your back. And I said, no, I'm okay, but can I call you when I get home? And he's like, sure. So I get home and I had been painting and moving things around. So I had my garage full. Now, normally all winter I park in my garage, but I thought, well, it's only the end of September. I've got like 3 to 4 weeks. That'll give me plenty of time to org the garage and clean everything up before I really want to park my car in the garage again. It's okay on the driveway. Now I don't have a window and they were calling for rain that night. I thought, are you kidding me? The one night I can't park in the garage. So now I'm taping up my window and doing all these things. And so I called him and he said, and I had some pretty heavy things in the garage. I was going to wait until like my dad came by or something, but now I was getting kind of critical. I needed to move it like ASAP. And I said, yeah, I got all this stuff. And he said, well, do you want me to come and help you? And at first I was going to say no. And then I thought, no, you know what? I want some help. Somebody just offered help. I am going to accept this help. Some of the things that needed to be carried are a two-person job. Like I had a glass cabinet that I wanted to put at my office. There's no way I was going to take that glass cabinet by myself. It's definitely a two-person job. So I said, yeah, let's do that. And so that was the beginning of This Man Has Your Back. Now, this is one day I ended up stuck. This was, what year was this? 2022. And I ended up having a rental car in the United States and I couldn't bring it back across the border. And I had gone to Helene Hadzel stuff and I had the remains of her business library and some of her business files and different things like that. Plus all my luggage and whatnot, shopping in my car. And I couldn't take it across the border. So I phoned George that morning and I said, I need you to come to Detroit and pick me up and bring me home. And he dropped his day and I told him where the passports were in the house. And he literally drove like 4 hours, found me. We had a big lunch. I filled up his truck with gas, and he drove me home. So I thought, yep, this man has your back. He was right there when I needed him. I didn't even question for 1 second that he would be there. So those are the kinds of things you're looking for when you are looking to manifest. Do you get hits and then dismiss them? How many times have you ignored your inner voice? Because I've had ones in the past that I thought, that can't be right. I remember one time I was at the casino. We were all out having a good time. And I had put in like, I don't know, $20 into this one machine. I'd spent a whopping $1.50 and the machine, like, I don't know, it hit something and I made like $80, $85. And my hit was take the money and run. But, we're all together. I wasn't ready to leave. So I kept gambling with my friends, $20 down. And I thought, no, you're going to lose it all. Your little voice said, take the money and run. You better stop, because I would have lost it all. So I came out ahead 60. But my first hit was take the money and run. Right? The universe, you have free will. So the universe said, take the money and run. And I go, no, I feel like gambling more with my friends, because we're just having it's a nice night out. We're all together. We're having, drinks and dinner and things and fun. And I'm not ready to go. And the universe is like, okay, go right ahead. But we told you. And of course, then I started to lose it. I'm like, uh-oh, it was right. So you have you have the free will to do whatever you wish. So you need to remember that, and always listen to that voice. So if there's something you want to manifest, and I'm going to tell people, you can work on manifesting the lottery. Go look at my interview with Timothy Schultz. Go check out his channel. He's interviewed many people that have manifested the lottery. He even interviewed Cynthia Stafford, who used Helene Hadsel's spec method and manifested $112 million. There's other people that Timothy himself had a dream that he won the lottery, and it was so vivid that he thought he'd won, and then he started buying tickets, and he won. So maybe he had, a remote viewing of his own timeline, and then he knew what actions to take. Who knows? But he interviews a lot of people who do that. But remember, abundance comes from anywhere, and you don't want to close any doors. I saw one woman on video, and she was working on this and wanted to manifest more money in her life. And she ended up inheriting 9 or 19 acres in another state, because she was the last descendant of this arm of the family. And so the person had passed away a year prior, but they were trying to find next of kin and doing all the genealogical. Oh, that's a tongue twister. I could almost hear Alex I'm in the booth, and he's out in the studio giving me crap because I can't say it. He's become my pronunciation in I call him the ear, because he hears things that I can't, even when we're doing the audio editing. He goes, listen to that. I'm like, I don't hear it. He's like, you need to re-record that. I'm like, okay. But they found her, and she inherited all this land. She was literally the last it was a long lost relative. You hear those stories, you think, oh yeah, it happened. So don't limit the universe for how you can manifest what you want. So be specific, project it out there, expect it, like literally expect it. Like I said, I knew I was going to meet somebody that was perfect for me. How long and when, I had no idea. Who it was, no idea. Just knew it was going to happen. From when I knew that to when it happened, from when I started the process of getting a divorce and looking, it was a decade. Some people are like, I don't want to wait a decade for my manifestations. Sometimes you have to. You're on Earth School. That's why I like astrology, because you're in cycles of time, and sometimes you're not ready yet, right? That's why babies take 9 months, right? They have to gestate, just like sometimes your manifestations have to gestate and take time, and you become a different person through that process. That's why a lot of people struggle before their first Saturn return. Your first Saturn return is like 29-ish. A lot of people say they're struggling in their 20s. They're trying to find themselves. And after they go through that first Saturn return, their whole trajectory changes, and their 30s are a lot different than their 20s. And I'm smack in the middle of my second one, because I'm 58. Right? It's every like 29 years. So 58. And then if you're lucky enough, Am I doing my math right? Is it 76? Or is it 86? 86. 86 is the next one. I'm going to have a third one, I've decided. Most people aren't here for 4. Because that would put you at like 124. Yeah, most people don't live to 124. Not yet, anyway. So you only get 2 or 3 of them, depending on your life. So that's why, you have cycles of time, and some things take a long time. But if you're always trusting the process, like everything that happens, it's getting me closer to that goal, then even when something feels like a setback, it's more like a spiral going up instead of actually something in reverse. I think Colette Baron-Reid always talks about that. She has it in her Oracle deck. She has one of her cards talks about the upward spiral. So it feels like you're going backwards sometimes, but not. You're actually still ascending. So you have to trust that whatever's happening is for the highest, your highest good, the highest good of all, that this is what you're looking for, and it manifests. Oh, yes. Gail Minogue. Oh, I don't know Gail Minogue. I'm going to have to look her up. It says the 0 to 30 years young is your childhood, 30 to 60 is your middle years. You know what? I'm going to agree with that, and I'll tell you why. Because I finally got to the place in my life where I feel like I wanted to be when I was 25. Like it only took me 30 years to get to where I wanted to be. So absolutely, middle years. And now that I've got a process and the business is growing and I'm writing more books and I'm doing translations and we're doing all that. So it's kind of exciting. Yeah, that's really good. So, and then the last part, I can't just stop the video without talking about C, which is collect it. And that's the receiving part. And everybody thinks receiving's easy, but I want to say to you, if I gave you a compliment, how would you take it? Some people be like, oh, this old thing? So the universe just gave you a compliment and you wouldn't accept it. How are you going to collect it? Say, thank you. I love this dress. Or whatever. I'm not even wearing a dress. I don't know why I use the dress as an example. But thank you. Just practice saying thank you to things. And just see how they appear. Manifest yourself a free cup of coffee. Thank you. The author who wrote the book, Calm, what is her name? I can picture her. She interviewed me on the local television station, and she's wonderful. And she has a great story about, she decided one day she was really feeling like steak for some reason. And she thought, you know what? I'm going to go out tonight and I'm going to have a man buy me a steak dinner. And her girlfriends went out and they went to the local steakhouse. And they, ordered drinks and appetizers, and it was fine. And they ordered, their meals were taking an awfully long time. And something happened in the kitchen for the delay. And then other people were getting served. So then the manager came out and apologized profusely and told them it'd be like another 20 minutes. But because of this extreme delay, dinner was going to be on him. And the 4 ladies all got dinner for free, and a man basically bought them dinner. And she said, I wanted a man to buy me a steak, and it's exactly what happened. But you'd think, she has to go on a date, or she's got to, swipe on Bumble or something. No, she just said, I want a man to buy me a steak. You don't limit the universe onto how it can happen. Now, were her and her friends a little grumpy because they were getting hangry? Yeah. But a man still bought them dinner. So don't limit to how you're going to collect it. Just be open to whatever avenue. And sometimes what occurs is probably even better. Now, she said, I want a man to buy me dinner. It turned out that he bought all of them dinner. That's even better than what she imagined. So just do that. I'm going to leave you on the last thing, one of my favorite quotes from Robert Ohotto that says, live as if you were the answer to somebody else's prayer. That's so profound. I love it. And on that note, you got to do all the YouTube and social things, like it, subscribe, share it, and go into the giveaway. And if you're seeing on this demand and the giveaway's over, go find the latest video because there's always going to be another giveaway. And I hope this helped you get into alignment and master spec a little bit better, and use the E for expected and emotion and energy and experience. Okay? And then message me and let me know what you manifest.